Have you ever questioned the methods cruise companies use to transform a peaceful getaway into an expert demonstration of subtle persuasion? Everything on the vessel, from complimentary amenities that come with hidden costs to cabin locations that promise scenic views but deliver restless evenings, is carefully planned to encourage spending, maintain satisfaction, and prevent suspicion. Some tactics are ingenious, others are somewhat unsettling, and certain strategies will leave you astounded. Here are 15 deceptive practices employed by cruise companies against their passengers. Before we conclude, I'll reveal an additional strategy you'll regret not learning before stepping aboard. Secret 1. Complimentary amenities that secretly increase your fare. You've noticed the advertisements everywhere. Complimentary beverages, complimentary internet access, complimentary gratuities. The offer appears irresistible, which is precisely their intention. Here's the reality that escapes most travelers. These bundled amenities aren't genuinely complimentary. For the majority of voyages, each perk's expense is discreetly incorporated into an elevated starting fare. You're not receiving additional benefits, you're simply making advance payments in a concealed manner. This practice by cruise operators is designed to make your mind focus on perceived worth rather than actual calculations. Once you encounter the term complimentary, your attention moves away from overall expenses toward presumed savings. This represents behavioral economics in maritime form, and the strategy proves remarkably effective. Through combining beverages, internet service, and gratuities into a single package, cruise companies not only complicate price comparisons but also trap you in their high-end pricing structure, regardless of whether you'll maximize its use. Many travelers remain unaware until they're on board that their bundled internet represents the basic messaging option. Their beverage plan includes an 18 to 20% daily service fee, and complimentary gratuities exclusively apply to particular crew members, not the required hotel service charge added for each person daily. Here's what you should do instead. Prior to making a reservation, calculate the costs using 3 different approaches. Start with the standard fare without additional features. Next, calculate the fare including only the supplements you'll genuinely utilize. Finally, examine the complimentary perk package. Then evaluate all the final amounts. In 9 out of 10 cases, when you consume alcohol moderately, use shared internet, or avoid premium coffee drinks, paying individually saves several $100s. That's the genuine secret. The most informed cruisers understand when complimentary offers aren't truly free, they're simply skillfully presented arithmetic. Secret 2. The beverage package mathematics deception. Unrestricted beverages appear to represent liberty, the type of luxury that defines vacations. 2 morning lattes, a poolside smoothie, several dinner cocktails. It creates the impression that you're benefiting. However, that's precisely the perception the cruise company desires. Here's the problem. These unlimited beverage plans typically include 18 to 20% service charges attached before you consume your initial drink. Additionally, most companies establish price limitations per beverage, which means high-end spirits or cocktails exceeding a specific value aren't entirely included. Even specialty coffee might be unavailable unless you select a superior level. Indeed, packaged water may qualify as a beverage. The tactic is entirely psychological. The cruise operator secures consistent income while numerous passengers never reach their break-even threshold. You're either consuming excessively to validate the expense or allocating significant time at shore destinations where the plan has no application whatsoever. This explains why countless passengers fall into an identical predicament, investing hundreds for a feeling of liberty they don't actually utilize. Here's your alternative approach. Calculate the numbers before departure. The majority of beverage plans demand 6 to 8 alcoholic beverages daily merely to reach the break-even point, and that excludes port days or early hours. When that appears impractical, decline the package. Rather, purchase a specialty coffee card, savor the periodic individual cocktail, and carry a reusable container to refill at water dispensers using a cup for sanitary purposes. By the 3rd day, you'll understand what the cruise company already comprehends. The genuine aftermath isn't caused by the beverages, it originates from the bill. However, financial traps represent the clear ones. The following trick operates more quietly and commences before you even unload your luggage. Secret 3. The deck deception. Lovely cabin, terrible noise. You accomplished it. You obtained a balcony cabin. Sunlight, ocean breeze, and your personal portion of ocean view paradise. However, here's what most voyagers never understand until it's already happened. The incorrect deck can convert paradise into a nightmarish sleepless experience. Cabins positioned immediately below the pool deck experience the 6 o'clock morning scraping of lounge furniture and the midnight clattering of individuals dragging them backward. Beneath the buffet or kitchen, you'll detect rolling carts, clanging dishware, and heavy footsteps throughout all hours. Adjacent to or below the theater, nightclub, or casino, anticipate bass vibrations that persist continuously. Front cabins on lower decks capture the rumbling of anchors and bow thrusters at sunrise, while rear cabins under kitchens tolerate carts rolling past until late evening. Cruise operators understand their actions precisely. The terminology, ocean view, or balcony, markets the fantasy, not the tranquility. Interpreting the detailed information falls on you. This explains why numerous individuals eventually write on travel discussion boards, "What's causing my ceiling to thump?" They reserved a guaranteed cabin or seized the first available balcony without understanding what sits immediately above or beneath it. Use this brief guide instead. Initially, select a sandwich deck, cabins positioned above and below yours for sound insulation. Eliminate any room beneath the Lido deck, buffet, kitchen, theater, or nightclub. Subsequently, if motion affects you, choose mid-vessel on a lower deck. For light sleepers, avoid adjoining doors and crew maintenance zones. Search for empty door symbols on deck diagrams. Desire a view? Verify twice that your balcony isn't obscured by lifeboats. Certainly, it may require an additional $50 to $150 to bypass the guaranteed fare and select your precise cabin. However, the silence, that valuable ocean-swaying silence, justifies every cent. Secret 4. Vessel time compared to port time, the missed departure illusion. Your mobile device displays 3:05 in the afternoon, and final boarding is 3:30. You obtain one final espresso, capture a photograph near the dock, and walk leisurely back toward the pier, believing you're completely on schedule, until you glance upward and observe nothing except open ocean. Here's what occurred. You relied on local time rather than vessel time. The majority of cruise operators maintain the vessel on its individual clock for uniformity, occasionally matching local time and occasionally not. Your mobile device, nevertheless, automatically adapts when it connects to local transmission towers at port. That minuscule invisible modification can represent the distinction between waving from the pier and waving from the deck. Cruise operators implement this to maintain synchronized operations. Restaurant schedules, safety exercises, performance times, crew timetables, all function on vessel time, but adapting falls to you. They'll display reminders in the daily bulletin or application, but one overlooked line of detailed information is sufficient. That's how countless travelers experience an identical nightmare scenario. I arrived merely 10 minutes behind schedule. The vessel's boarding ramp doesn't accommodate excuses. Once it's secured, it's secured. Here's your alternative. Manually configure your mobile device to vessel time immediately upon sailing. Subsequently, verify final boarding the evening prior, not merely departure time. For independent excursions, ensure you establish a 60 to 90-minute safety margin. And understand, returning to the vessel isn't a courteous recommendation, it's the absolute deadline before your floating residence departs without you. Secret 5. Overbooked sailings and guaranteed cabins. You notice it and grin, a guaranteed balcony for hundreds less than the typical rate. You possess flexibility, you believe. How problematic could it be? Here's the catch. That flexibility is precisely what the cruise operator anticipates. Guaranteed cabins assure you a room category, interior, ocean view, or balcony, but not a position. Once you reserve, the company can allocate you to any available space within that classification. And during crowded sailings, that typically means what remains after everyone else has selected. Translation: you might obtain your balcony, but it could be positioned directly above the nightclub, beneath the buffet, or adjacent to a crew maintenance hallway that never rests. Some travelers even receive obstructed perspectives behind lifeboats or structural beams. In uncommon situations, overbooked classifications result in last-minute rearranging, a discrete type of musical chairs at sea. Cruise operators utilize guarantee fares for inventory management. It allows them to populate vessels from the highest level downward, while reserving the premium cabin positions for last-minute luxury purchasers who will compensate extra for certainty. And that's how the arrangement captures you. You feel intelligent for economizing, then allocate the cruise questioning if the thumping above you ever ceases. Instead, if sleep quality, perspectives, or motion sensitivity concern you, select your precise cabin. That authority justifies every dollar. However, if you still desire the reduced price of a guarantee, at minimum contact the company or your travel representative and specify no placement under kitchen or theater or mid-vessel exclusively. It's not guaranteed, but it's frequently documented. A guaranteed cabin might preserve your finances, but when the ceiling begins vibrating at midnight, you'll regret not guaranteeing your tranquility instead. Believe you're merely another anonymous traveler? Reconsider. Crew members aren't simply present to smile, they're discreetly evaluating your movements, purchases, and when you'll consent. And before we proceed further, a brief interruption. If these insider revelations are enlightening, press like and subscribe. It supports the channel's continuation so additional travelers can identify the traps cruise operators prefer you don't notice. Secret 6. Facial recognition, RFID, and crowd analytics. You tap your medallion, a door unlocks, a camera flashes, a greeting addresses you by name. Seamless, correct? Behind the technology, vessels employ RFID wearables, purchase records, and surveillance analytics to monitor movement and forecast spending. This explains how they position a photograph promotion immediately following formal evening or a spa advertisement the morning after turbulent seas. It's intelligent business, optimizing productivity and sales, but it also signifies you're continuously being evaluated. You can appreciate the technology but remain purposeful. Predetermine your allocation for beverages, dining, and supplements. When an offer doesn't align with your strategy, simply acknowledge and proceed. You'll outmaneuver the algorithm. Secret 7. Tender port priority, the excursion preference. At certain ports, you'll require a small vessel to access shore, and that's where the concealed hierarchy commences. Vessel-sponsored excursions receive priority tender passes, while independent travelers may wait an hour or longer. It's not sabotage, it's protection. Cruise operators favor their own tours to prevent complaints if delays occur. Instead, reserve later independent tours following 10 o'clock in the morning or select vessel excursions for early positions. One additional tip: arrive 15 to 20 minutes early for self-assist tender passes. That quiet advantage can preserve your entire morning. Secret 8. The embarkation buffet channel. Everyone boards famished and proceeds directly to the Lido buffet, a chaotic maze of trays and masses. Here's what most individuals don't comprehend. The primary dining room or a peaceful cafe is frequently accessible for lunch, offering actual menus without chaos. Cruise operators channel individuals to the buffet because it's foreseeable crowd management. Instead, bypass the initial buffet. Examine your application or daily schedule. There's typically a calmer location accessible nearby. Commence your vacation relaxed, not elbow-deep in pasta. However, if crowd influence makes you purchase quickly, the subsequent few traps make you purchase frequently. Secret 9. Spa, photography, and one-night-only sales that recur. Today exclusively, 20% discount. Sounds pressing, but don't hurry. The identical spa and photography promotions frequently reappear, particularly on port days when the vessel is partially vacant or on the final sea day when they're eliminating inventory. It's traditional yield management, discount when demand decreases. It's optimal to reserve massages on port mornings for reduced prices and fewer crowds. For photography packages, wait until the final evening. That's when the genuine digital bundle promotions appear. Secret 10. Internet tiers designed for frustration. You select the basic internet plan to conserve several dollars. Just messaging, correct? However, by day 2, your applications freeze, pages refuse to load, and frustration prevails. You upgrade. That's the design. Cruise operators intentionally restrict basic tiers to direct you toward premium packages. It's not malfunctioning, it's behavioral upselling. Ensure you pre-purchase the plan you genuinely require before sailing. It's typically less expensive. If you only need texting, verify if complimentary shipboard messaging functions in the application. And on port days, visit a shore cafe. 5 minutes of authentic Wi-Fi surpasses hours of buffering at sea. Secret 11. Shore excursions. Guarantee compared to actual risk. If our tour is delayed, we won't depart without you. Sounds reassuring, but that commitment only pertains to vessel-sponsored excursions. Independent tours can be more economical and more intimate, but if traffic or weather delays you, the vessel won't wait. The guarantee is what permits cruise operators to demand a premium. Ensure you select third-party tours with explicit back-to-vessel guarantees. Schedule returns at minimum 90 minutes before final boarding, and always maintain a contingency plan, taxi contact, port diagram, and additional time. For distant ports, the higher vessel tour price might simply purchase peace of mind. Secret 12. Daily service charges and tipping confusion. You observe gratuities included and believe tipping's addressed. Simple, correct? Not entirely. The daily service charge, occasionally termed crew appreciation, is distinct from automatic bar, spa, and specialty dining fees. That included designation frequently covers only a portion of your account, typically through a limited-time promotion. Cruise operators implement this to maintain crew compensation stable and bar income foreseeable, but it creates double tipping without awareness. Some travelers even eliminate the daily charge in objection, unaware it directly impacts their cabin attendants' compensation. Maintain the daily service charge unless there's a legitimate problem, and tip additionally in cash for outstanding service. For any package you purchase, remember the service percentage is already incorporated, so you don't need to tip twice. Secret 13. Elevator psychology and flow patterns. Immediately upon boarding commencement, everyone congregates at the atrium elevators, the busiest location on the vessel, but the forward and aft elevator banks are typically faster and nearly vacant. Cruise operators design this deliberately. The central zone maintains passengers near shops, photography stations, and bars, ideal for spontaneous spending. So when elevators jam, walk one bank over or one deck away before riding. And during embarkation or disembarkation, utilize the stairs for one or two decks. You'll access your cabin long before the elevator doors even open. Secret 14. Chair hogging and the quiet zone map. By sunrise, every desirable pool chair is claimed with a towel and a paperback, and half will remain vacant for hours. Cruise operators rarely intervene because confrontation appears worse than disarray. They'd rather permit guests to self-police than provoke mid-deck disputes. So bypass the drama and relocate. Proceed to aft sun decks, upper promenades, or adults-only zones that open early. If a chair has remained untouched for 30 to 40 minutes, inquire with a crew member about the official time restriction. You'll conclude with a superior view and a calmer day. Secret 15. Code words and quiet emergencies. You hear Alpha Alpha crackle across a crew radio, a door closes, and everything appears normal, but it isn't. Cruise operators employ code words for medical emergencies, fires, or overboard alerts to prevent panic among passengers. You're not intended to interpret them, simply to remain calm while trained teams respond. If you discover a closed stairwell or blocked zone, don't demand answers. Follow crew instructions and step aside. The quickest method to assist is by providing space. They're managing what you're not supposed to witness. So you've observed how the game is conducted, on pricing, on flow, on psychology. Now for the small action that feels almost unjust once you comprehend it. Boarding tips, small moves that make a big difference. Now that you comprehend the games cruise operators conduct, here's how to sail more intelligently. A final checklist to quietly evade every one of those secrets. Embark timing. Arrive 5 to 10 minutes before your designated slot. Too early and you'll be stuck waiting outside. Muster reality. Complete your e-muster scan and briefing immediately. Some venues remain locked until you do. Specialty dining. Reserve your steakhouse or sushi evening on day 1 when discounts are common and crowds are minimal. Photos. Choose digital exclusively if you don't need prints, and purchase on the final night when bundles decrease in price. Laundry. Utilize self-service during extended port days, not sea days, to avoid queues. Hydration. Bring a flat collapsible bottle and fill using a cup transfer at drink machines. It's cleaner and complimentary. Execute these small actions and you'll sidestep the concealed traps most passengers never detect, cruising like an insider from day 1. You're no longer subject to the vessel's control. You now perceive the design behind the smiles, how complimentary perks aren't complimentary, how crowds are directed, and how some cabins promise paradise but deliver sleepless evenings. That's the distinction between drifting with the current and quietly taking the helm yourself. If this helped you perceive cruising in a new light, press like and subscribe. It's the simplest method to stay ahead of the tricks cruise operators don't want you to notice. And when you're ready to plan more intelligently, watch the next video on your screen. Travel smart, move quietly, enjoy the ship on your terms. Your voyage is just beginning.